Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week we did a free trial of Shudder.
Greetings.
Hello. Here we are. Yet again.
At least you didn't say welcome again.
That's true. I'm trying to switch it up, Micah. That's my main goal.
Dude, you drive me insane, man. Every week we do because our intro is always welcome to Recently Logged something.
Yeah, you know.
And then for like 5 weeks in a row or something, we do like welcome to Recently Logged, blah 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 blah. We'd start the podcast,
music,
and then Robbie would be like, "Hi, welcome," and I'm like, "What? What do you do?"
I feel the compulsive need to welcome our audience to the podcast.
But that's what we do. That's what we do in the very beginning.
That's true. But yeah, here we are. We, as stated in our little bumper thing, we did a free trial of Shudder this week. This past week, I should say.
Shudder. And for those of you who don't know what Shudder is, since I didn't know what Shudder was.
It's not like a camera shutter. It's like a shutter from fear.
Yeah, it's like SHUDDER.
Yes.
Not shutter. Shudder.
Amazing. I can't believe you didn't know what it was.
Why would I know what it was?
I don't know.
But it's a streaming service made specifically for like pretty much indie horror movies.
Oh, I mean, just fans of horror. There's a lot of like old horror stuff, a lot of new horror stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's true. A lot of
it's just indie horror movies.
Yes. But yeah, we did a free trial of it, and I wanted to try and get through as many as I could, so we decided to do a What We Watched episode covering all the stuff we watched this past week.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started.
Well,
no?
Hold on.
No?
For those of you who don't know what a What We Watched episode is, it's one where we kind of talk about everything that we watched that week.
Yes.
And, you know, we give a little bit more time than our What We Watched segments typically, and we just kind of talk about the movies a little bit.
Yeah.
But no specific topic. But now let's get into it. Alright, so I watched quite a few movies this week for a week's time.
Right. I watched way more than just one a day.
But we are going from the 17th, correct?
Yes, October 17th, 2022 to our current day, October 24th.
All right, well, then starting us off on October 17th, I watched Hotel Transylvania.
A banger, honestly.
A classic.
A classic.
You know.
It's true. I would say so.
Which is crazy. This would be, I mean, it's 10 years old now.
It's a decade old.
It's a decade old now, which is crazy. But I really love Hotel Transylvania. I think it does a fantastic job of translating. How do you say his name, Rebbe?
I don't know
how to say his name.
Gendy, I believe is how it's said.
I have no idea.
Very famous animation director.
Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yes. Very famous animation director.
Yes. Love his work. Just don't remember how to pronounce his name.
Yes.
But translating his style, which is typically 2D, he's done a lot of 2D. I mean, like, if you know Cartoon Network at all, you know his work, essentially.
Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack. Very, very stylistically his.
Yeah. And translating that to 3D is like really super impressive, honestly.
I don't know how they got that movie to look so good. They nailed it, man.
Somehow the cast of this works pretty well. There are some like celebrity voice casts I don't like in this, but like Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg is pretty great in that.
And like even Selena Gomez. I think like all of like the main voice cast work really well, and it's just funny, and it's like a really, I don't know, it's a very nice spooky season movie, and I don't know, I really love Wayne's design. I was thinking about this. I love how flat like his schnoz is.
Wayne.
He's got a very flat schnoz, and I appreciate
That's
that.
true. It's a good design.
I love his design. But yeah, I try and watch Hotel Transylvania every Halloween, and this was just,
As you should.
it was another watch. But great movie.
Right. I didn't get a chance to watch it with you because I was watching something else, but it is a very good movie.
Probably the best of the trilogy, honestly.
Yeah, I think pretty easily the best of the trilogy.
Yeah, I hadn't seen 2 in forever, but I'll get to that in a second.
Whoa.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Well, while you were watching Hotel Transylvania, I stayed up very late and watched When a Stranger Calls.
Whoa, what do you do, Rebby, when a stranger calls?
What do you do? I don't know. she like hangs up like at least 5 times. But yeah, it's a thriller movie from the 70s, late 70s. I almost said 80s, but it was the late 70s. So, but yeah, it's called When a Stranger Calls because there's a stranger who calls.
Whoa.
A lot of people kind of, I think, don't like this movie because it kind of shifts like how it is entirely in its second act, because the first act, she like gets the call from a stranger while she's babysitting at this rich guy's house, and then like the end spoiler, like the climax of that is all of the children get murdered that she's supposed to be babysitting, and the guy like goes to prison, whatever. And then Act 2, he breaks out of prison, and we see her like a couple years later.
That is really weird.
Yeah, no, it's a weird time jump, and it makes it feel a bit disconnected. But I think it works really well for the tension because you have this really, really tense first act that's very well directed, mind you, and then it moves on to like this more. I don't know. I don't want to say crime procedural, but it feels more like a detective movie in the second.
That's very
like
weird.
The second 2 acts.
I've seen the remake of this movie, and it's just a thriller horror.
Oh, it's just
movie.
a straight up thriller. Okay, I'm very interested to see. There's a sequel to this, and there's a remake.
The remake's pretty bad, though.
I hear the remake's really bad. Yeah.
But no, the remake, it's just like, oh, I'm babysitting. There's a call. Oh no, the call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Is that what this is from originally?
Yes.
It's a great moment though when he's like the call is coming from inside the house, and then like the whole it's so scary. I love how scary it is.
But that's really weird that they do that, Rebby. I hope you realize
it is very strange. But the one thing I really want to praise this movie for, I gave it a really high score. I gave it a 5 out of 5. But I really wanted to praise this movie for how like just absolutely scary all of the like serial killer stuff is. It's so scary. It really nails its atmosphere, and I like the detective character it introduces. I think he works really well and is a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, it's a good time. I definitely recommend it. When a Stranger Calls, 5 out of 5. Good stuff.
There you go.
And then the next day, on the 18th, we watched for the very first time, and with our sister, who isn't usually in town.
Yeah.
We watched Elvis.
Elvis.
New Baz Luhrmann joint.
Which I love that even the frame for the poster, I mean not the poster, but for like the banner of this on Letterboxd is like Elvis standing there with Tom Hanks looking like a little gremlin standing right behind him.
It's so funny. It's a great frame choice for the movie, I will say.
So yeah, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis 2022.
A bit of a controversial film, but I mean that's par for the course for Baz Luhrmann.
I've seen a bunch of people love it. I've seen a bunch of people hate it.
I mean, I feel like a majority of the people's reactions is either like it's fine or it's pretty good. Like, I don't know too many people who think it's actively terrible.
I've seen a lot of people who hate it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was... I don't know what I expected, but I did not expect to cry at Elvis, and I did.
I was Like, this movie is crazy.
It is crazy.
This movie is kind of crazy.
It's off the wall, man.
Even by Baz Luhrmann standards of what I've seen, because I'm pretty sure
I've only seen The Great Gatsby.
I've only seen The Great Gatsby outside of this. I mean, he hasn't directed too many movies. But compared to The Great Gatsby, which I think was his last film, if I'm not mistaken.
Like his one before this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Compared to The Great Gatsby, this feels like it's going insane.
That was his last one.
Like that it's like really like 20 million steps bigger. Because, like, The Great Gatsby honestly feels very small compared to this.
Right.
Like,
this feels like an Odyssey, you know.
Honestly, like The Great Gatsby feels kind of small and cheap compared to this, honestly.
Right.
Because, like, The Great Gatsby has a lot of stuff that just honestly doesn't look that good.
No, it hasn't aged super well, like in the way in its general aesthetics.
Yeah, a lot of its effects and like so many of its green screen backgrounds and everything just don't look that good.
It just feels like a proto Elvis now that I've seen Elvis, honestly.
And because that's just like digital Baz Luhrmann, because I'm sure he hasn't done too much. Because Romeo plus Juliet's not that digital.
Did they shoot it in digital? I
don't know.
It looked like it was on celluloid.
Digital, but yeah. I'm just saying. Like,
you're just saying in like general vibe.
Yeah, because Elvis and Great Gatsby are extremely digital movies.
Very digital. I was about to say Moulin Rouge is a very analog looking movie.
Romeo and Juliet, and I'm pretty sure Australia. I don't really know much about Australia.
Neither do I.
Is too.
Yeah.
So like this is like the new era Baz Luhrmann giving his full technology, and it's like Great Gatsby was like he was testing all of these different things. The waters,
yeah. And you get a lot of crazy shutter speed stuff in Great Gatsby. You get a lot of like slow-mo stuff in Great Gatsby.
But this one is just like all Baz Luhrmann stuff.
It's great.
It never stops for about 3 hours. And somehow that works super well. For me anyway. Like I said, I know this movie's pretty
I think it's
divisive.
Fantastic.
But it's not boring at all. It does slow down a little bit during like its second act.
Oh no,
the end of its second act, which is sad that it loses some of its pacing. But
just a little bit.
That happens a lot for especially true story kind of movies. But like the fact that this movie goes so fast and so hard for so long is crazy.
It's insane, really.
I really love the editing. I love the cinematography.
I love the cinematography. There are so many, like, I don't know, it feels so nice to have a movie like actually make choices with its cinematography and have them work effectively. It's so good.
I really like Austin Butler as Elvis. I think he does a really great job. His performance is just really fun to watch. And like I said, I've never really been an Elvis fan. I'm not the biggest fan of his music.
Shame on you, Mike.
Never been the biggest fan of like his aesthetic. I've never been like
so
Elvis, and this movie made me like Elvis. You know.
I
was, at least for the movie. I haven't even listened to Elvis outside of the movie since.
No,
I just don't really like Elvis that much. But this movie, for a brief moment, convinced me to like Elvis.
I was sitting there, Micah, and I was like, "There's no way he won't go and listen to Elvis after this is over."
And I didn't.
How could you, dude? I will say, Baz Luhrmann's soundtrack album for this movie is insane.
Dude, he plays Doja Cat in the Elvis movie.
The fact that there's an original Doja Cat song for the Elvis movie and it works pretty well is kind of insane to me.
That's just the weirdest like period piece Elvis movie, Doja Cat.
But yeah, no, it rocks. Like all of its cinematography choices just work so well for me. Like it's a very maximalist, very fake, almost looking movie. Patrick Willems' review of it was, I don't know if I can quote it verbatim off the top of my head. Yeah, here we go. Congrats to Baz Luhrmann for making the world's first 2.5 hour movie trailer. Which
especially at the beginning of the movie, it feels like that.
Oh yeah,
like from the very first
act,
I was like, oh my gosh. But you kind of have to like get into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But one of my biggest things again about this movie is the editing specifically, especially when it comes to the actual Elvis songs, because I really like like music use in movies, and I think this does a really fantastic job of using its songs and editing and cinematography to really get you emotionally hooked into his performances.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic, man. Like, I don't know, it's just so good. I don't know how you would edit something like this,
dude. I wouldn't know how you edit something like this, write something like this, choose to shoot something
how
like
do you
this.
write something like this? How do you keep the energy up like this?
Crazy movie. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
I give it a 5 out of 5, man. Honestly, like, it slows down a little for sure, and like the emotional through line doesn't always work. Like, Elvis feels a bit as a character.
It's a little cheap.
It's a little shaky, but I think it's a 5. I love it.
Like I said,
great movie.
It's very, very self-indulgent.
Yes. Most of the time, I think for the best, though.
Then on the 18th, we went out and we watched. Well, we went.
We didn't. I was about to say we didn't go anywhere.
And we watched on Shudder. This is our first actual Shudder movie.
Yeah.
We watched Color Out of Space.
Color Out of Space.
2019 Nick Cage, H.P. Lovecraft horror movie.
The Richard Stanley film.
But yeah,
Color Out of Space. I was looking forward to this back when it came out. I saw a Nick Cage Lovecraft adaptation in 2019, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
I was about to say, I've always been a really big fan of Lovecraft-style horror.
Indeed.
I just think like the kind of cosmic horror kind of genre is very, very cool, and one of the only kinds of horror stuff that usually actually creeps me out. and this movie creeped me out, which was cool.
There's some scary like body horror stuff in this. It's good. I liked it.
But yeah, Color Out of Space, it's very interesting because like, take Color Out of Space, a very short story that has nothing to do with the 21st century or Nicolas Cage, and adapting it to this is really quite interesting. But I really love what we have here.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I think as a thesis, it executes like the Color Out of Space thing really well, and handles all of the like horror stuff really well too.
I think the characters are really fun and goofy to watch.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. This movie is goofy as heck. I don't know. You can't go into this and be like, this is going to be the most serious horror movie. This is really funny. This is a funny movie. You have to laugh at this movie.
Brendan Mayer's in this, Micah. Of course, it's funny.
Dude, the cat.
I love Brendan Mayer. Shout out to him.
Brendan Mayer. He should be in every movie. We started watching. Our first introduction to him was a Canadian
sitcom.
I don't know. Whatever you
Workplace
qualify,
comedy?
like those
I don't know.
Disney Channel kind of movie.
Yeah, it's like a
Disney
sitcom.
Channel kind of shows, which was called Mr. Young. I'm getting my Canadian shows mixed up because I'm so tired.
Oh no.
But Mr. Young, which is a crazy show that has an actually really crazy finale.
It's a pretty good show, I will say.
But that's my introduction to him, and he is here. He returns.
Here. He's pretty good in this.
He is. I do really like the whole cast of this.
Julian Hilliard.
Julian's here.
Julian.
Nicolas Cage does little voices throughout the movie.
Nick Cage. He's kind of killing the game yet again. How does he keep doing it?
It's just a really crazy movie, and I really appreciate it, and I really like the horror stuff, and I like how goofy it gets.
I love the alpacas too.
Yeah, exactly. The alpacas, like, I don't know. The direction and the editing are probably the worst parts of this movie, because I really appreciate like just the writing and everything that's going on.
I guess so. I wouldn't say they're bad.
No, they're not bad.
They are the weakest part.
But they're the parts that feel pretty like shaky to like, just compared to a lot of the things that I think work really well in this. I feel like the direction and the editing are kind of shaky.
Yeah. Although I will say I really enjoyed the art direction for this.
Yeah.
Like all of the different designs and stuff that they go with for the supernatural things are really cool.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. It really committed to the bit a lot more than I expected. I don't know. I always think modern horror movies are gonna like flake out from actually doing anything gross or anything like that.
I just had so much fun with it because it's goofy, it commits to its bit, and I like that style horror.
Right. All right, and then the next day.
On the next day, I watched.
What did you watch?
On the 29th? No, the 19th. I'm tired, guys. I'm really tired.
I was going to say, Mike was watching stuff on the 29th.
On the 19th, I watched Hotel Transylvania 2.
Oh my goodness.
Which this is the first time I had watched Hotel Transylvania 2 in quite some time.
I really need to watch it. I haven't seen it since we watched it in like theaters or whatever.
And it's really weird, especially coming off of like Hotel Transylvania pretty close to it, because like the way the movie starts and like the little time jumps and stuff that they do is really weird. Like they like time jump to the wedding, then they time jump to like
oh yeah, there's like a little
kid.
montage thing, isn't there?
No, it's just time jumps.
Wait,
there's no montage.
Oh, I thought it was like one scene and then it would switch periods and then like another scene.
They just time jump to a year later.
Okay.
So like it's very interesting that they go from like marriage, she's pregnant, they have a child, and then the movie starts.
Interesting.
And it's just very odd in general. It's weird to see Dracula in this kind of setting, and this kind of shows some of more of the problems of the series, because there are some weird things and some weird humor in the original Transylvania, obviously.
But you'd always get a banger bit right after that.
Yeah,
you know?
and this one is a lot more like, they got cell phones, they got Nick Offerman, they got like like there's just a lot more like humor that seems very like more modern humor than like, I don't know, what I felt worked well in the first one, which is not great. And then like Adam Sandler's Dracula, if I can think.
Like it's like Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler in the movie, yes. Dracula is not really as fun in this, which is a shame because he's really a highlight.
He's like the best part of the
But he
first
spends the whole movie just being like extremely insecure about something kind of stupid and like doing actively bad things.
That's why 3 is better, Mike.
So like it's kind of weird and annoying, and like the fact that Johnny goes along with it and that Mavis is upset at all of them. It's just like whatever.
Mike is like, couldn't we be having a better time?
Yeah,
guys?
it's like the plot is just a little contrived, but it's still really fun. It's still got quite a few funny bits, and I just like seeing these characters do more stuff. Wayne is back. He's flatter than ever.
Yeah.
Look at his face. Like he looks like you took a wolf and you smushed him down into a flat little boy. He is so cute.
Voiced by Steve Buscemi.
No, I didn't. I thought Steve Buscemi voiced the Invisible Man.
Oh, does he? No.
Man, I'm getting I'm way too tired.
To say, wait a minute.
Yes, he is voiced by Steve Buscemi.
Am I going crazy here? Yeah.
No, I'm just tired, Rebby. But yes, voiced by Steve Buscemi, which is amazing.
Weakest of the trilogy, Micah? No?
Maybe.
Oh, dang. I quite like 3.
3 is really weak, Rebby.
3 is dumb.
3 is like equally weak to this.
3 is really dumb, but I really enjoy it.
I give it a 3 out of 5.
There you go. I watched 2 things on the 19th, if you can even believe it. First thing I watched was the new Dario Argento movie, Dark Glasses, which is I guess Argento's return to movies in the slasher genre, because I think his previous film before this was Dracula 3D, which is kind of, infamously hated by everyone, like including most Argento fans. But yeah, Dark Glasses, cool slasher, a lot of fun. I don't know. It's very weird seeing Argento work in like a modern cinematic landscape, because the only other film I've seen of his is Suspiria.
Well, then the only other films I've seen from him is Suspiria and Phenomena, which are very similar films. I didn't watch this, but just like in commenting on thinking about Argento in a modern landscape.
I was about to say, this came out this year. But yeah, it's really fun. I think the main word I used to describe it in my review was enjoyable, and I think that's honestly the best way to describe it. There's some like gnarly kills and everything, and there's like some fun like dubstep score stuff.
Simply a delightful picture.
But like I don't know, it feels very quaint, oddly enough. Like for a
quaint.
slasher, yeah. I said it almost feels like a slice of life movie. But it's about like this like prostitute and this child who are on the run from a serial killer.
Very quaint.
But I don't know, it comes off feeling like a slice of life movie. So I don't know, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. It does a good job of like, I don't know, keeping like a fun vibe going. So
Gotta keep that fun vibe
I
going
can't complain.
during the prostitute serial killing.
I really want to see more Argento, really is the takeaway.
He really wants to.
I would love
He
to.
wants to do it.
But I gave this a 4 out of 5. Great movie. I loved it.
Then also on... Oh, wait, you have something else?
Yeah,
on the
also on-
middle?
yeah,
Dang,
also
you
on
watched
19.
3 things, huh?
Did I watch 3 things?
Going
Oh, well, I
crazy.
guess, yeah, no, I did. I said 2 things earlier. But yeah, I watched a cool little documentary while Micah was, I don't know what he was doing.
Working,
then. I guess
probably.
you were down in my room. I think you were recording or something.
I might have been recording
Yeah.
that day, but
Yeah, I
working
watched
a bunch.
I watched a documentary about, or well, it's titled Horror Noir. It's about the history of black horror films, which very cool subject matter that I did not know a lot about, and I feel as though I have taken like a tiny little bite-sized film course in like black cinema history and specifically horror, obviously. But yeah, it's a great documentary. It stays really engaging throughout, which is not an easy thing to do for an hour and a half like long thing that's just mostly people talking. But yeah, no, it offers up a lot of great observations about the genre and history and a lot of criticisms of past practices and stuff. It's a great documentary. I would definitely recommend it if it sounds interesting to you at all. It's on Shudder right now, so give it a watch. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
He gave it a 4.5 out of 5. That's crazy.
It's a great documentary.
It's, quote, a great documentary.
What can you say? And then later that day, we turned on
What did we turn on?
our
Ruby?
first George A. Romeo movie. Romero? No, Romero.
Yes.
Yeah.
a very, very weird inclusion into his canon.
It's
Being that it was,
It's called the amusement park. Yeah.
It was commissioned by the Lutheran Society.
Very interesting. I would not expect something on Shudder to be commissioned by the Lutherans at any point in history.
And like the entire thing is just a PSA to be kinder to old people.
Yeah, that's literally the whole film is just trying to get you to empathize and understand like how old people feel. Which, I mean...
The plight of
the
being old.
plight of being old, exactly. Mostly from a social perspective. It doesn't really focus too much on, like, the actual, like, feeling of getting old, but...
Yeah, more just how everyone treats you
exactly.
when you're old.
It's more of a social thing, which I think it works really well. I loved a lot of the many like metaphors and stuff that they use.
It's
very good, very effective.
They used a lot of like bits and visual gags and like a lot of silent film techniques, honestly, to go about telling their story. And I think it was really cool, and I liked it. It's a little like in your face. But I think a lot of what makes it that way, and it's probably my least favorite element of the entire movie, is they open up with the main actor of the film being like, Hello. Have you ever heard of old people? Well, this movie's all about them. But he goes into like this 5-minute monologue about how the film was commissioned,
might even be longer than
about
that.
what the film was about what's going to happen in the film.
Yeah.
He goes into this big thing, and then he comes back in the end. And he's like, well, now you've seen our film, and I hope you really feel different. You can check out these different places to support your elderly. And I'm like, this makes the film feel infinitely cheaper.
I was about to say, it kind of cheapens it.
And telling you what the film is specifically about at the very beginning for something like this really sucks.
It kind of made me want to not pay as close of attention to it, because it's a kind of surreal, sort of disorienting abstract kind of comedy.
Yes, but Robbie,
And my brain was like, I was imagining like a world where I didn't know what it was about.
I was about
yet.
to say, picture
it would have been
going
so fun to
picture
pick apart
going
like all
into
of the stuff that
this
it does.
without just knowing what it was about. That would be so great, but they don't give you that opportunity.
They robbed me.
Which I really hate, but it still is a pretty darn fun movie.
I think it's fantastic. I loved it, man. I need to FaceTime my grandma after watching this. It's one of those movies.
Well, I gave it a 3.5.
I give it a 4.5. Great film.
Great film. He
Loved
says. Loved it. He says.
And then on the next day, on the 20th, we sat down and watched Mad God.
Tuned in.
We tuned
to the
in.
hit horror claymation romp of the year.
Absolutely.
And we turned on Mad God.
Yeah, directed by Phil Tippett, legendary,
visual effects guy.
Visual effects, like, film legend. Like, I don't know, he worked on, like, some of the biggest movies of, like, the 80s and 90s, you know?
Yeah,
and they look, all of his movies look so good.
He was, like, the guy.
He was the guy for visual effects for the longest time.
And then as CGI started to come out, his career was feeling a little shaky, so he was like, you know what, I'm gonna start my own project. I'm gonna start something. So he started Mad God in the 80s. And he finished it a couple of years ago.
That's insane, man. He released like the first chapter in like 2018 or something like that. No, 2014, I believe.
So that's something to think about. Just how long it took him to do this.
It's a kind of a towering creative exploit, you know. It's pretty insane.
No, it's crazy to me. And it pulls it off. So it's such an impressive film.
It's a very impressive film.
I really
not only from a technical perspective, but like from a creative and like narrative perspective, it's still very impressive.
I really just love everything about this movie. I really love how it goes about telling its story. It's very abstract. It doesn't have much of a direct plot. I love the vibe of just being in the movie.
Yeah, it almost functions as like a mood piece in a way.
Yeah, and I think the animation is just beautiful. I love how they
great.
I love how they combined their different mediums. As there's some live action stuff, some puppet work, mostly stop motion, but it all blends together into a really, really unique and very immersive experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I honestly, I just want to watch Mad God again.
I love how gnarly it is, man.
It's so gross. It's very incredibly gross. I think it's a very interesting piece in general, though, because I don't fully understand what it's trying to say with it, because it opens up with a rather famous passage from Leviticus
right.
and the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes into like industrial grime horror, abstract weirdness.
It's great. What more can you ask for?
Which is
really?
Fantastic, but I don't really I don't fully know what the movie is trying to say. Which usually movies that I've seen anyway that don't have much of a plot are like, you know, you can pick up that it's trying to say something specific.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that framing device is actually doing it a lot of favors.
No, I think it's great. I think it helps. I just don't know, like, by the end of the day, I don't know what the takeaway exactly is from the film.
I don't know. Industrialism bad, maybe?
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
I'm sure it's not as simple as
my
that.
only read while watching the film, and exactly, I'm sure it's not as simple, was just, like, the worst fate of humans,
right?
Is just getting left to our own, like, industrialism, essentially.
Yeah, I was about to say
exploitation of each other.
This is basically the whole my main takeaway of Mad God was that basically hell is just like humans working themselves to death and killing everything.
I was about to say exploiting everyone and everything and working themselves to death for industry, which, you know. Fair enough.
Yeah, I was about to say, fair point. I will give a quick shout out to just how like well crafted it is as a film. It's really well shot.
It's crazy.
It really understands like geography, how to shoot a scene, how to edit a scene. It's on a nuts and bolts level. It is a very solid movie.
I was about to say, and you've got to understand,
which is very impressive for something of this scale. And
I was about to say, you got to understand for this. When I say they started in the 80s, I mean they started working on this in the 80s. Apparently, one of the sequences took them 5 years to finish, like just one sequence.
Which is crazy, dude.
This is one of the most impressive, even as stop motion movies go, stop motion movies I have ever seen.
Man, the lighting is so good too, and the creature designs and everything. I don't know, it's so cool. I love the imagery in this too.
It's a fantastic movie.
Great movie.
I give it a 5 out of 5.
I give it a
which
4.5
Robbie
out of 5.
did not. So Robbie's sitting over here watching Baz Luhrmann's Elvis and When a Stranger Calls, and he's like, easy 5. And then he watches Mad God, and he's like, kind of mid.
Mike Austin Butler says, "This has everything to do with that."
Everything to do with it.
That's a perfect movie.
Robbie, why the 4.5 for Mad God?
I don't know. You mentioned how immersive it was, and that's the one thing that didn't fully work for me.
Ooh, get off the stage.
I really appreciate how it goes about trying to control its tone and everything, but I don't think it always hits correctly. I think the general lack of, I don't know, a lot of the live action stuff doesn't mesh super well. It looks fine, it looks pretty good, but a lot of it didn't work well enough for me to not pull me out of the movie a little bit. But I don't know. I want to watch it again.
What?
That's not the only
thing I've ever
That's not
heard.
the only thing that I didn't like about it, but I don't know. It wasn't a 5 for
Lamest thing I've ever heard.
Lamest thing.
Then also on the 20th, I watched She Dies Tomorrow.
She Dies Tomorrow.
Not on Shudder, actually.
What?
But another indie horror movie. A very interesting, psychological horror movie. I don't know. It's almost like a mesmerizing film with its filmmaking that it has. I really appreciate a lot of its specific filmmaking.
After watching 20 minutes of it, I really want to see the rest of it.
But it's very weird. My mom, because I watched this with my mom, of course, did not like it because it does not explain anything, and she just doesn't like movies when they don't do that. So it just ends without giving you any answers, and she's like, "What? It doesn't give you any answers?" And I'm like, "That's okay.
It's all right. It's cool."
And I really like what it does. I like how it presents its story, how it goes about it, and yeah, I don't know, it's just very it's a very good movie. It's a very simple movie. I mean, it's literally only 85 minutes, but as an execution of its rather interesting premise, it's very engaging. I got pretty emotionally invested into it. The direction's good, the lighting's good, the actors do a good job. It's a very
solid movie.
Again, mesmerizing movie to watch.
Nice.
I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Not too shabby. And then I guess that was probably later that night.
Was that on the 21st?
Yeah.
Well, that was on the 20th that I just did.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was like, oh, this is late night on the 20th. I watched VHS 99, newest installment in the VHS franchise.
And you watched the newest one first.
I watched the newest one first. The next one I'm planning on seeing is VHS 94. So I guess we're gonna take them in reverse order. But for those who don't know, VHS is a anthology horror series. So you get roughly 4 or 5 segments each VHS movie, and they're just little bite-sized horror films. And this was really good. I don't know. I haven't seen the other VHS movies, but I assume they're probably like this.
I mean, they're anthologies.
Yeah, they're horror anthologies. Big reason I wanted to watch 99 is because Flying Lotus directed a segment, and it was really good. I think his segment was probably the best one. Ozzy's Dungeon. Great stuff. It has a really fun game show parody in it, kind of similar to what's the name of that show? You remember the Nickelodeon Temple show?
Oh,
where the kids are doing obstacle course stuff.
I don't remember what that's called. But
I don't remember what it's called, but Ozzy's Dungeon is meant to be a parody of that, and it works really well. The whole opening for that segment is done completely within like the game show narrative. And then like it switches to like after that, you know. But it's really good. I loved it. A lot of the other segments are really fun too. To Hell and Back was great. The Gawkers was interesting. I liked the ending of it a lot, and the energy it had was really good. Suicide Bid was probably the second best one. It has a really fun like climax and just general aesthetics and everything. Is really good for that one. Shredding is an interesting one to open with. That was I don't know. It's like it has like what I expect mid-90s to feel like for those familiar with that film. But like I don't know, it's about these kids who like go into like an underground punk rock thing that burns to the ground with like one of the bands still inside of it. And like the band starts killing them off one by one, like as zombies. It's I don't know, it's fun. The music was kind of fun in that segment, so I don't know. It was a good time. The segments mesh pretty well. It keeps the pacing like going throughout the whole thing. It was a good time.
There you go. It's a good time.
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Gave it a 4 out of 5, if you can even believe it.
A solid picture, if I do say so myself.
Well, then on the 21st, I watched via Robbie's suggestion if I'm not mistaken, why did I just lose where this is from? Yes, the Finnish horror movie Hatching.
Good old Finland, always giving us the horror classics.
The land of Finn. Which is a very interesting movie because on some elements it feels very, very unique and very like inventive and exciting, and then like all of the other elements it feels very, very dry, rehashy, and samey. So that combines into like this really weird experience.
It's such a strange movie to sit through.
Half like interesting, unique horror stuff with a cool monster and an interesting like plot, and then like really, really boring family stuff that doesn't usually work, and like weird drama that's like very like yep, that's the way the mom is.
It's kind of like it's strangely like hypnotic watching it. Like cuz it's some of its stuff is like so brilliant and great, and then other stuff is just absolutely not.
I really, really wish they would have like taken it a little bit further and gotten cuz the mom is really awful in this as like a parent. And her aggression keeps going off at like the wrong people. She keeps accidentally getting her little horror monster to like attack her friend or this baby or like whatever, not her mom, which is really the source of like the aggression she's feeling. And I wish they would have just gone like crazier with like the mom. I wanted them like if you're gonna have this story, make the mom like more evil or something.
You want like a Roald Dahl cartoonishly evil adult?
Yes, I want her to go Roald Dahl evil by the end. Okay, like they can build to that, but I want something more sinister to happen with the mom instead of it just being like she's a weird influencer and then she's she's a weird influencer who's really unhealthy as a parent for her daughter. Oh no.
I'm thinking about how this would have made a banger Roald Dahl.
It feels like a Roald Dahl. Besides, it really does. Besides like the actual horror attacks, Roald Dahl book. Boom, baby. But it was still very fun, and again, the creature is great. I love the practical and like the blend of practical effects and CGI is great. And I don't know.
I love the teeth.
Interesting movie. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Go watch Hatching if you like puppets or practical gore or anything like that. It looks so good.
It's a very interesting movie.
Very interesting movie, yes.
But then what did we watch, Remy?
Then on the 21st, we sat down and turned on Perfect Blue.
Satoshi Kon's
debut.
The Master.
The debut Blue.
The debut.
Perfect debut question.
I love Satoshi Kon. He's probably one of my all-time favorite directors. I literally just love everything I've seen from him. Fantastic stuff.
Good. Oh
and goodness. I mean, I know a lot of people who Perfect Blue is literally their favorite. So I was very, very excited to get into it. and guess what? It was a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, I was about to say I expected it to be really great, and then it was really great. So I don't know.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, every element of this is just really doing so good at what it's trying to do. It's got the classic Satoshi Kon style, even if it's not as like crisp and visually interesting.
It's not as polished as his later stuff
specifically.
Yeah.
But it's still very, very visually engaging. The animation is beautiful. The story is really cool and unique. It does a great job of like getting into its thriller elements.
It's such an ambitious thriller, like such a narratively ambitious thriller. Like I couldn't imagine trying to do something this like, I don't know, like insanely complicated and like cool as my first movie. I don't know.
Or he's like, I want my first movie to be lame.
I'm just saying, like, why not just do like a very simple, like a very straightforward movie as your first movie, you know? But I don't know, Satoshi Kon, he wields his directorial power like he's had it all of his life in this, you know?
Right.
Even though it is a little rougher around the edges,
yeah.
It's still like such a thematically rich and engaging movie, and it's so scary when it needs to be.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not my favorite Satoshi Kon movie by far.
Not mine either.
I think my favorite Satoshi Kon project in general is still probably Paranoia Agent.
Paranoia Agent is very interesting,
but
and very good.
This is honestly one of my favorites, and I think it does some of its best at just being very succinct at what it wants to be. Like The Perfect Blue, I would say, is probably one of his most focused feeling projects.
Yeah, I mean it chooses its themes and it sticks with them for the whole movie and dissects them in a lot of really interesting ways. It's great.
The character work is really fun. The creepy stuff is really fun. I can't believe he wanted to do this in live action. That would be horrifying.
I don't think I would want to watch this.
No, I would not want to watch it if it was in live action.
I was a little like, should I really be watching this in animation? You know?
See, I don't know. I think it handles its mature themes and topics pretty well.
It does. It handles them, I think, the best way you possibly could.
Yeah, I was about to say pretty tastefully. I wasn't bothered by that
all of its violence and stuff is very disturbing, and it's meant to be that way. But I don't know. I come to Satoshi Kon's work for like really good surreal stuff. I don't know. It feels like I was like, okay, this isn't what I signed up for, but like also, it's very good.
Did you not know? Did you not know what was in the movie?
I did not. I hadn't looked at like the parent guide or anything in a while. I did not realize there would be like not like super explicit, but semi-explicit sexual violence in this. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, the entire thing essentially centers around sexual assault.
Yeah, but I don't know. It handles it, I think, the best it can. So
I was about to say, I guess just because I knew about that going into it.
I did not know about it. I was like, oh no.
I think it handles its subject matter in a very like succinct, nice,
it does,
well-rounded way.
Like I said, I couldn't think of a better way you could do it than how this does it. So
but yeah, no, I loved Perfect Blue. I give it a 5 out of 5.
So did I. It's great, man. I really want to give it a rewatch so I can actually pick up on a lot of the narrative shifts that happen, because it's a very complex movie.
Yeah, no, like I don't think you can understand this movie.
No,
fully
I was about to say
watch.
I was lost, and not always in a good way.
Oh dang. You sound very negative towards this movie.
No,
like,
I love it.
You've said
It's a great movie.
Everything you've said has been very negative.
It's a fantastic movie. I gave it a perfect score.
It's more rough around the edges. I kind of hated certain parts of it.
No,
I didn't want to watch it. I didn't sign up for this.
No, I'm saying you got it all wrong, Mike.
I don't think you gave it a 5 out of 5, Remy.
Wow. No, it's a masterwork of filmmaking, and it's a great movie, but like there's a couple things that bothered me about it, and that's the reason it's not my favorite of his, because if those things didn't bother me about it, it would be my favorite.
No, see, my reason it's not my favorite is I just like Paranoia Agent better.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm too much of an Inception shill to not love Paprika.
Right? Most people, Paprika is just not their favorite.
I adore Paprika.
People usually like Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue more than Paprika.
I like Millennium Actress. It was a great way to get into his movies. But I think Paprika like strikes a great balance of like the wonder and surrealism of his films. I don't know. It's so good. Watch Paprika. It's a great movie. And then on the next day, the 23rd, we watched One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead.
I don't know if it's a Shudder original. I think it's just a Shudder exclusive.
I don't know. One Cut of the Dead, very interesting film. A Japanese indie movie.
Came out in 2017.
About a Japanese indie movie.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not really about a movie. It's about like this television special.
It's about a television special, but still, it's fun to say.
It is fun to say.
Which this movie is crazy because I didn't know exactly how it was going to go, because it's kind of like multi-layered, because it's about a film crew filming about a film crew about a zombie where they're filming a zombie movie, but then real zombies come in, but it's not actually real zombies. It's part of the film thing that they're doing. And it presents it to you essentially at the beginning as completely straight for the film. Like they just play you the project.
I was about to say, it's like you're watching
the rest of the film. And like that's crazy. So the first 30 minutes of the film exactly are this one shot, this one cut of the dead.
One cut of the dead. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. They did the thing.
And it's actually really impressive because they do all practical effects, all in camera.
It's so good.
Like and like just watching that 30 minutes initially, you're like, wow, this is really campy, fun. Very impressive that they did this all in camera.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was hard to make. And then the second half of the film, they're like, this is how we made it. And they like Ocean's 11 style the project. And like it's a very interesting way to frame this, because I can't think of another thing that would have framed like having the finished product first and then show you how they did it. I feel like most things would have been like pitching the project and then
like show you it at the end.
And then be like, oh man, it almost didn't work, and then show you the project.
Yeah, no, I think the decision to like show you the entire thing first it's a gutsy one, because you would probably lose a lot of people, because it's not like the highest caliber of filmmaking, because like later on in the movie they reveal that a lot of stuff went wrong, and like there's a lot of odd moments and you know, like just kind of like bad moments in the opening. But you find out later there were mistakes that they're covering up. But I don't know, I could see it being very like boring or, you know, not very interesting for a lot of people in the first little bit. But I think it works really well regardless. I really like the opening segment, and I don't know, it's a really charming movie. It's got like such a great spirit behind it.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate like the comedy, the horror, like, and just like the feeling that this has towards filmmaking.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know, it's very engaging during the beginning segment when you think that's just what the movie is doing.
I'm surprised the character writing is as good as it
and then in the second segment they somehow get like emotional value into it.
Right.
And like I don't know, it's very interesting. I loved it. I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow, aren't you
a great time.
Special, Robbie?
Oh my goodness. Feel so attacked.
then yesterday on the what, the 23rd?
Love was such an easy game to play.
Yes, the 23rd. We watched
Alligator, baby.
Alligator. The 80s, like 1980 specifically, which I think is a very important date for the movie, because Robbie was like 80s, and this is not a very 80s movie. This is a 70s movie.
I mean, it feels like a very early 80s movie.
This is a 70s movie, Robbie.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh, it's the guy who directed Cujo. I did not know that.
It's pretty much just Jaws via alligator.
Yeah, essentially. Which I will say, I love the alligator in this, which apparently, Micah, I read the trivia, and apparently the animatronic alligator like malfunctioned a ton, like
Of course
kind of
it
like
did.
Jaws.
Like Jaws, Revy.
Apparently, when you try and do like a giant animatronic monster, it does not go over well.
I love the animatronic alligator in this. He is so big and so flat. He is
so good.
I love best animal character designs are just like big and flat. And this is he's a big boy. He is very flat.
I love how they scale him up in this.
Right? And like he looks completely different in 90% of the scenes because sometimes they'll have like a stand-in alligator, sometimes they'll use their animatronic.
I was about to say, depending on the like location, they'll use like this humongous animatronic, or they'll use just like a regular alligator with forced perspective.
And it's really funny because again, this humongous alligator prop does not look anything like a real alligator.
Dude, it's so big. Why? It's so big.
Yeah, but like, so you'll have like these shots that you're like, wow, that's an alligator.
It's an alligator.
And then you have this thing with its big flat face, and you're like, that's not the same alligator.
It's so good. That's easily the best part of this movie is like the titular alligator. He's so much fun to just like watch. Like he there's one point in the movie where he crashes a wedding and just starts like hitting everyone with his tail. He's not even like biting a bunch of people.
No, he eats like one person initially.
I think the body count is like 2 people.
He eats so slow, he can only eat one person at a time.
But he's just like throwing wedding
he
guests
just starts
everywhere.
hitting people with his massive tail.
It's so good. It's glorious to witness, really.
I would say the one thing that like the one thing that really doesn't work well for me about this is the performances. Almost every performance kind of annoyed me in some way.
I liked the main guy performance.
And I thought
Robert Foster, I think he's pretty good.
The chief like actively really annoyed me. I don't know. I don't know what it was about the chief, but I really like seriously, I could not stand watching him.
That's
like
crazy, man.
I don't know what it was.
I loved him,
but like I don't know if it was just the accent, the performance, or maybe the fact that he was emoting like a piece of paper.
What is your deal, dude?
Like he was so annoying. I really hated his performance.
Dang. Lighten up, you know?
No, like he was really annoying.
Dang.
Like just actively.
I loved him in this. I thought he was a lot of fun.
Like every line delivery sucks from him, Revy.
Dang.
But like the character work is pretty meh, but like fine. It's just a fine movie outside of that. It doesn't really have much. Again, it kind of offers its main character as kind of a Chief Brody type character, but without like anything really. no substance.
I don't know. I liked how the romance was handled. I liked like a lot of David's like character arc. I don't know. It was I thought it was pretty great. No, I thought he was a fun protagonist for this.
I think you give this movie too much credit.
I liked the horror sequences. I liked the lighting. I liked the feel of it. It's a great movie.
I don't know about that.
I would be very proud if I made Alligator, Micah. If I was the director behind Alligator, I would be beaming with pride.
It's goofy and it's got some fun elements.
It's got an alligator named Ramon,
but it's nowhere near even something like the 80s Blob or something like that.
No, it's no 80s Blob. I never claimed it to be.
But Robbie, the 80s Blob is like just a 4 out of 5. Like
what? No.
Yes.
No.
What are you talking about? Anyway, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5.
Apparently, I like 80s creature horror a bit more than Micah. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Also, like Ramon, seeing baby Ramon and then seeing like another baby alligator at the end.
Robbie, we're sitting here. He blew my mind in a very disappointing way. We're sitting here and he's like, but how did they flush a baby alligator down the toilet?
Dude, you know how long it's been since I've seen a baby alligator?
No, I don't care. How did this leave your conscious that they're that tiny?
Baby alligators are so adorable.
They are lizard size.
They're so cute.
They are adorable, but you did not know this, Ravi. You were like, baby alligators?
No, I knew.
I bet they're like a football size or something.
I don't know, man.
Weird.
Cut me some
disappointing.
slack. They're born out of... They hatch out of eggs, man. They can't be
exactly.
that big.
Tiny little eggs.
Yeah. But dude, there's a baby alligator named Ramon, and that's why this movie is a 4 out of 5.
And then on the same day, just very late into the night,
Very late into the night. Mere hours ago.
we watched Deadstream.
Deadstream.
A 2022 horror comedy.
Yes.
Very interesting movie.
Very interesting.
I was not expecting much from the premise and from the banner of this movie. It just did not look that appealing.
I was about to say, I kept trying to get Micah to watch it with me. He's like, I don't know.
It does
doesn't
not look that
great."
good.
Yeah.
But the movie itself very much impressed me as it's extremely goofy, extremely engaging, really funny, and like just like a really fun movie to watch. It goes way more extreme with its horror than I thought it would, and it does a really good job of having like not the most like biting criticism of like YouTubers at all, obviously.
Yeah.
But like a funny criticism.
I was about to
of
say,
YouTubers.
I don't even know, like, if it is, like, even a decent criticism of, like, YouTubers and internet
it's
creation,
funny.
but it is really funny to watch.
The fact-
so that's good in my eyes.
The fact that they have like the whole he was demonetized and then like he's coming back for the sponsors and he's trying his hardest not to get demonetized
It's so
the whole
funny.
movie.
It's so funny,
and then
dude.
like he ends up being like the ghost is doing the same thing as me and
That-
like
It's one of the funniest revelations of this whole movie.
he ends up actually apologizing for because he did like an apology video for like the
my
stuff that got him
goodness,
in
dude.
trouble, and then like
It's so
so
funny.
weird.
His
and
arc
it's
is so
goofy.
hilarious. Yeah.
It's a little like especially towards the beginning it feels a little goofy and contrived, but especially the second half as it gets going with its like crazy horror stuff. I did not expect them to commit
so
to
funny.
to like creature horror as
Oh,
much
yeah.
as they do in this.
Dude, the makeup and prosthetics and stuff look so good.
But they did such a
So
good job,
funny.
and it's so much fun to just be bafflingly in shock at like just what they're doing with the movie.
It's a truly unhinged like movie, and I love that. I wish it would have gone a bit like more off the rails with its gore and everything. I
There's
think that
not
would
much
have
gore in the movie.
I think that would have made it like just that much funnier. Because it is really funny right now. Because the main guy's reactions, Joseph Winter, he's really good. But I think having like just an absurd amount of gore in this would have made it that much funnier.
Because I was about to say it's very light on gore, and
Yeah,
again, there's
it
only
is.
like him in terms of characters outside of monsters.
Yeah.
So like, there's not a whole lot of things you can do, and he gets pretty darn injured by the end.
Right.
But they could have had more gore. He could have been more blood soaked. He's pretty blood soaked by the very end, though.
I love how he goes from like not moving at all, like he keeps flopping back and forth from being like not moving around at all to just running around the house like a maniac.
Right. Well, dude, that's what you gotta do, man. Because he's either scared to death or he's like, just go.
I was about to say he like psychs himself up and then just ends up getting like absolutely decked by another ghost. It's really quite
I
fascinating
love it.
to watch.
It's such a fun climax to the movie. It's a really funny movie.
It's hilarious.
It
dude.
uses its filmmaking techniques as it's all found footage technically.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a found
Yeah.
footage movie. It uses that pretty darn effectively with the different cameras and everything. It makes it to where it doesn't feel so stiff.
Yeah.
And the live stream elements of it are really funny.
Dude,
The
some of
chat
the
section.
some of the chat stuff is so funny. If you I was trying to keep up with all of the comments as they were coming in, like not just because they like highlight some of them at the like
they
top
have
of the chat.
they have like the premium Twitch.
Yeah, yeah.
If for a real world example, because he's using a fake live
Fake
stream
Twitch.
service. But they have like the Twitch Prime people's comments up at the top.
I was about to say I was trying to read all the comments and there's some just like buck wild stuff in there. It's so good.
Which, speaking of which, I still find it really funny that he's so worried about getting demonetized. And somehow during this live stream,
Oh my
where
goodness.
on screen he murders
I
somebody.
was about to say he actively stabs someone and they bleed out on the ground on live
and
stream.
like there's a lot of gore in the later half, but this live streaming platform never stops his stream.
Dude, he shoots a hole through someone's chest. He blows up someone's skull. Like
He eats an eyeball.
he eats an eyeball.
and the he cuts off a finger like in this entire.
Oh yeah, he just
the-
chops off a
the live
finger
stream
on the
service
stream.
is like, yeah, this is fine.
Right. He's like he keeps avoiding swearing on the stream, and yet all of these.
So I love that there's not much.
horrors.
There's not much like harsh profanity in
Yeah.
this, because he's trying like the entire
It's so
time,
funny.
even towards the end,
swear.
he is trying not to use any explicit profanity to not get himself demonetized.
It's so funny, dude.
But it's great. I really enjoyed it. I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4.5 out of 5. If you have access to Shudder, that's a big recommendation for me. I love Deadstream.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun. But that was it. We watched
Yeah.
that like honestly.
That was 1 week.
mere hours ago, because we were up very late.
Yeah.
And
Man, Elvis, what a picture.
yeah, I was about to say there's some big highlights. We watched a lot of really great stuff.
I think I gave everything in this that I watched this week a 4 or higher. That's pretty high marks in my book.
I did not. But Rebby, to be fair, you've just been going on giving out high ratings to everything.
I don't know.
Everything you've given like a half star higher than I think it deserves.
I think I actually rated something lower than you the other day. Maybe it was Color Out of
That's
Space.
been very it was Color Out of Space, and that's been very rare
And Mad
lately.
God too.
No, I rated Mad God higher than you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I rated it lower than you did.
Yeah, you've rated a lot of the. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you were saying that I
Um,
kept like rating stuff higher than
But
you. I
no,
was like,
you've just been like, watch a movie pretty mid. You're like 4 stars, and I'm like, what?
No, dude, I don't know. Now that I'm studying film in a more substantial way, I don't know. I feel like it has deepened my appreciation and enjoyment of movies, which is a good thing. I would argue.
Listen. You can appreciate the film without giving it a 4-star when it does not deserve one.
What are you saying here, Micah?
I'm saying
Name
like,
names.
I'm saying like Alligator does not deserve a 4 out of 5.
How dare you?
It is a fun movie.
My
with
boy
fun
Ramon.
performances.
My boy Ramon deserves everything.
Besides the chief, it's fun, but like it is not that good, Mr. Studying Film.
I think it's pretty great. I think it's great.
Whatever,
Dude, I would watch Alligator again in a heartbeat.
But yeah, go watch Elvis. Go watch Color Out of Space.
When a Stranger Calls. Great film.
I mean,
Mad God.
That's a shaky suggestion.
If you have the stomach for some of these horror movies, a lot of these are very gory, explicit, kind of depraved movies a lot of the time. So
yeah, if you have the stomach,
that in
watch
mind.
Mad God, watch
Yeah.
Deadstream. If you're okay with the content, go watch Perfect Blue.
yes,
Um,
One Cut of the Dead.
One
a
Cut
lot
of the
of
Dead,
fun.
really fun. Yeah, go watch some good movies.
Go watch some good movies.
There's a lot of the appreciation for indie horror cinema this week, because
keep
that's
it
most
spooky,
of most of what we watch.
Yeah, right.
Keep it spooky, keep it fun. Watch some good movies. We'll be back next week with Scream 3.
Scream 3.
Finishing the trilogy.
Ooh.
Dude, and I suggested Scream to my cousin, and now he has watched the entire series, and we still have not gotten to Scream 3.
I was about to say, shout out to Zach. You can go listen to the episodes we did with him on the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, and also Knives Out.
Yeah.
Two other fall classics.
Right? We keep recording around fall with him because we keep recording around Thanksgiving.
I was about to say,
when we see him.
we go up to his house for Thanksgiving, so it's the perfect time.
But yeah, anyway, like he ended up just like watching like all of the Scream movies, because I was like, yeah, Scream 1, and then I was like, yeah, Scream 2, and then he was like, oh yeah, cool, he watched Scream 3, and then I was like, oh, he watched Scream 4, oh, he watched Scream 5.
Still a crime that they didn't call Scream 5 like Scream with the 5 like
But it's
in the title.
technically it's a soft reboot.
It is
Rebby.
a soft reboot, I know, but like imagine if they would have put the 5 in the title like 7. That would have been so good.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Indeed.
Thank you for listening. I'm very tired and I gotta go get to work.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You're
You're gonna come with me to work.
Well, no, I gotta get to work too. Oh man, I got a lot of stuff to do before the end of the month.
So
Scream
do I.
3 next week.
Scream 3 next week. Bye.
See you then.